verse 7 through 12. And maybe you've never read this story in the Bible before. Maybe you have. But we are going to talk about something so just crazy, man. Acts chapter 20. Are you putting that up there, bro? Okay. Acts chapter 20, verse 7 through 12. And we're going to try to read this together. Brother Curry got thrown into the frying pan over there. Amen. All right. So Acts chapter 20, verse 7 through 12. Now I'm reading in the New King James Version, so there may be some different verbiage in here, but just it'll be very close. Now on the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul, ready to depart the next day, spoke to them and continued his message until midnight. You think we have long church? There were many lamps in the upper room where they were gathered together, and in a window sat a certain young man named Eutychus, who was sinking into a deep sleep. He was overcome by sleep, and as Paul began, am I going too fast? Sorry. And as Paul continued speaking, he fell down from the third story and was taken up dead. But Paul went down, fell on him, and embracing him said, Do not be troubled. Do not trouble yourselves, for his life is in him. Now when he had come up, he had broke bread and had eaten. He talked a long while, even till daybreak, and he departed. And they brought the young man in alive, and they were not a little comforted. They were very comforted. Is that what it says here? Oh, he's not there yet. There we go. Amen. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. Thursday, we're going to skip Mother's Day, because my wife's going to be speaking. And then next Thursday. Yeah. Listen, she's got some good content. Her notes are like, wow. She was just sharing me what the Lord had gave her, and it was just like, wow. So she's got a really powerful message to us as parents. It's not just for moms, it's for dads, it's for everybody. But here's what we're going to be talking about for the next few weeks. Here at LiFeSource, I'm going to be teaching you how to fall. I'm going to teach you how to fall. See, you know what we do a lot of? We teach about how not to fall. We teach you to avoid falling. But see, the elephant in the room is this: we all fall. We all make mistakes. If any man says he has no sin in life, the Bible says he's a liar. We all make mistakes. We all struggle. We all go through things. And you know what I feel we talk about the least is how to fall. How to prepare yourself for falling. And so for the next however many services, we're going to talk about how to fall. How to prepare yourself for this, because we are naive if we think people aren't going to make mistakes. We are naive if we think that people are just going to be perfect and never make mistakes and never fall, never go back to the old ways, not be tempted, not struggle, that their marriage ain't going to be attacked, that their minds ain't going to be messed with. We're just crazy if we think that people aren't going to fall. And so if you would bow your heads with me as we pray. Father, in your mighty name, Jesus, we thank you so much for this amazing day. And God, just for the next few moments, Lord, I just ask you to bless this time that we have together, Lord. God, that you anoint us to hear, anoint us to receive, Father. God, let your word not return void, but let what it has set out to accomplish, let it be done. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. And everybody said amen. 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 What an interesting thing to talk about. What an interesting topic. You can put that out there. Yeah. I feel like I couldn't get in preach mode. I feel like I had to keep talking real somber. What an interesting topic. What an interesting topic. And I mean, like, if I would have put on Facebook this morning that we're going to talk about how to fall, we might have had less people here. I'm not going to go to a church that teaches me to fall. No, here's the problem. We do fall. We do make mistakes. From the top to the bottom, man, we all have struggles. We all have things that we're weak at, things that we just, we may not talk about it, and we may be real good at keeping it under subjection. We may be real good at walking above it, but the fact of the matter is, we all have things that we are weak in. We all have moments of tests and trials where we are tempted to fall, where we are tempted to give up, where we're tempted to give in. We all have things in our life, man. We go through seasons and periods of life where our marriages just go into utter warfare, where our minds become a battleground to depression and anxiety and fear and worry and stress and doubt and low self-esteem. And there's just attacks that are going on everywhere. And just in the last 3 or 4 days, I've spoke with multiple families in the church. Some of you are here, and some of them aren't here today. But I've spoke with multiple families in the church, and it seems like everybody's battling a little bit of everything. Seems like everybody's just struggling with a little. One family's is in the marriage, one family's in the finances, one family's in the health, one family's in the kids. And it just seems like there's just a little bit of everything that we're battling, and we're just struggling, and there's just warfare that just constantly goes on. It doesn't matter how many hours a day you pray. It doesn't matter how much you give. It doesn't matter how much you worship. It doesn't matter how long you've been going to church. If you've been in church for 5 minutes or you've been in church for 5 years, 50 years. It doesn't matter where you are in your timeline of Christianity. But the fact of the matter is that every person in this room, from the top to the bottom, from the inside and the out, all of us struggle with something. All of us have bad days. All of us have moments where our marriages are under attack. It's not just sin that I'm talking about. I'm not just, we immediately, old pastor's talking about the sins. I ain't got no sin in my life, so he must not be talking to me. I'm talking about the potential to sin. I'm talking about the possibility that what you're going through could cause you to fall, that could break your marriage, that could break your life, that could just utterly destroy your faith in God. I'm talking about all the things that we go through, whether it is a sin that you're being tempted by, or maybe it's your marriage that's under attack, or maybe the devil's messed with your mind all week, he's messed with your babies this week, he's messed with your finances this week, or whatever the storm is that you may be going through. But absolutely every one of us in this room have things that we go through. We all go through spiritual warfare. Now, what I find interesting about this story, you think we have long church services. Paul's like, hey, I'm not going to be here for a while. And see, Paul did most of his conversation with the church. He wrote letters because he couldn't be at all these churches at the same time, and so he'd write letters. But when Paul would come and visit a church, dude, you clear the schedule out. Like, you don't just go have it. We don't have like hour and 15-minute church with Paul. When Paul comes to church, if I told you, hey, and I probably wouldn't even tell you that he's coming, because you probably wouldn't even show up, because you knew that Paul was going to preach all night long. But if I said to you, hey guys, listen, Paul's going to be here next Sunday, you know what you'd be doing? You'd be calling into work Monday, and you'd be teetering about calling in Tuesday. Because you would want Tuesday to sleep in from being up all Sunday and Monday listening to Paul preach, because when Paul got on a roll, dude, Paul didn't know how to shut down. And when Paul, here he is, he's beginning to preach his guts out. And it says at midnight, Paul's still rolling. Paul's still preaching. They had light lamps in the room to just brighten it up a little bit so everybody could see each other. And there's this young man named Eutychus, he's just a young teenage boy. And he's sitting in the window. And he's trying so hard to pay attention. He's trying so hard, man. I mean, he's like doing everything he can. He probably made 4 or 5 bathroom trips. He splashed water on his face. I mean, he's like pinching himself. He's doing absolutely everything in his ability to stay awake. And I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but I don't know if you've ever been so sleepy you hurt. I mean, it's like from the top of your head, you just hurt. There's times, man, when I lay down, my wife is like, are you okay? Because I just moaned for about an hour, laying like, just wore out, just exhausted, and I'm just like degraded, just like bleeding the brakes. I'm just letting it all the air out, and literally, and so I'm just laying there and I'm kidding. I'm not. Okay, so I'm laying there and I'm just exhausted and I'm hurting because I'm so tired, and I'm just like, you know what I'm talking about? You've been there, you're just so tired, you like your eyes are crossing, and they say like when you're sleepy, like to be really tired is worse than being drunk. They say, you could probably get home safer driving drunk than you could being sleepy. And it's just miserable. And that's what I get with Eutychus. I'm thinking, Eutychus, dude, I get it, bro. I get it. I know right where you are. He's sitting there, and I just remember times I sat in church, and I hope to God I don't ever do this to you guys. And if I do, don't tell me, because you'll make me feel bad about myself. But I just remember sitting in church, and I'm literally like, oh my God, I'm so sleepy. And you don't even want to blink, because you know if you blink, they're not opening back up, right? And so Eutychus, he's sitting there, and he's trying so hard to stay awake, and his blinks are getting a little bit longer. And they were blinking quick, and then all of a sudden it's like each blink is just a little more longer, a little more sluggish. And finally he takes that one last blink, and he's gone. He's gone. I wish that God had said he's snoring. I believe he was. I just truly believe that old brother Eutychus was snoring in that windowsill. I just truly believe that he didn't know where he's at. He had the mouth propped open, they bobbed the head, and he had drool. I just imagine that Eutychus was so tired that he just couldn't help it. He didn't even care. He's like, you know what, I'm done. He just goes out. And so here's Eutychus. He's sleeping, and the Bible says something happened that's very interesting, is that while he's sleeping and he becomes overwhelmed with sleep, the Bible says he falls backwards out of the third-story window. Like, you think crazy stuff happens around here. Well, imagine our medical team getting that call. You know what I'm saying? Somebody fell out of the window and they're dead. And Paul, he stops preaching and he goes to revive this young man. See, Paul was the pastor and the medical team. He didn't get the luxury of sending somebody else. He had to go and be the medical team and the pastor and everything. And Paul stops preaching, goes and revives this man. But see, you would think, that's pretty awesome. We had a miracle. Let's call it a night. Let's put a bow on this baby, put it to bed. No, Paul said, I got some preach left in me. And so Paul says it's time to continue preaching. And so Paul preaches all the way up until daylight. Daybreak is at the sun's coming up. And Paul's preaching again. He's still rolling. And something very interesting happened that in the life of Eutychus that I want to talk about, because every one of us have been Eutychus. Every one of us in this room have been, will be, or are currently taking this place. We all can be that person in that windowsill. We can all identify with Eutychus, where it is that you're at church but you're wore out. You're at church but you're exhausted. You're at church and you want to be there, but it was a fight to even get there. It was a battle to even get there. You love God, but you're just physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally tired. You're giving everything you got, man. You're putting everything you got in the plate. You're coming to worship. You're coming to outreach. You're at prayer meeting on Tuesday nights. I mean, you're just doing everything you know to do. You're praying with other people. You're trying to help everybody else. You're just doing absolutely everything that you know to do to please God. But man, you're just tired. You're exhausted and you're wore out. I'm not talking about just to go to lay down in a bed and go to sleep. But I'm talking about you just get tired with life. You just get tired of being tired. Tired of struggling. Tired of the same old. You're tired of the stress, tired of the depression, tired of the worry. You're just plain old tired. You're making it to church. You're showing up. You're on the pew. You're here, but you're barely here. See, there's a lot of times that we write people off as safe because they're sitting in this room, but you don't know the hell that they had to fight all week just to get here. We don't know the stress and the struggle that people go through just to be in the house of God. See, you may have got up this morning, had your coffee. You may have had a beautiful morning on the porch and watched the sunrise. You may have had a real great morning, and getting to church must have been a breeze. But there may be some of us in this room today that you had to go through hell and high water just to be in the house of God. That you fought every spirit, every principality. You about knocked your kids out. You about rammed into somebody. Man, oh, come on now. Getting to church was a battle because you're going through a season of your life where things just aren't working out the way you want them to work out, and your faith is being tested, and your heart's being tested, and you love God and you're faithful and you give everything you have to God, but you're just going through a season of worry. You're going through a season of financial stress. You're going through a season of attack on your marriage, or an attack in your health, or on your mind, or something in your life is just not what you want it to be, and you're doing everything you can, but you're getting tired. See, some major things to note in here about Eutychus. And we're going to be talking about these over the next few weeks. But I wonder tonight or today if anybody can relate to Eutychus. I wonder if there's anybody in this room that can say, that's me. I'm just like that. Is there anybody in this room today, man, that maybe not now, but you have been, or maybe you're there right now. You are just fighting with everything you've got to be faithful. You're fighting with everything you've got to stay in the church. You're battling depression. You're battling temptation. You've got all kinds of lack and struggles and issues that are just going on all around you. And you're doing everything you can not to doubt God. You're doing everything you can to believe in God. You're doing everything you can to maintain your ministry. And you're on Facebook talking about how good life is, but you really want to type a real bad, sad story because life is not really what you're making it look like on Facebook. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I know I'm talking to somebody in this house that you've been faking a smile. You're shaking hands, but you don't really want to be here. Your Facebook's saying one thing, but your heart's saying another because life has just been really weighing down on you and things have just kind of piled up on you that you're just tired. You're just wore out.
Amen.
You're doing everything you know to do. You're trying everything you know to try, but you're just tired. Has anybody ever been there? Is anybody there right now? I want to speak to and encourage those of us that are in this room today, that your faith is being tested and your mind is being tested and maybe your health is under attack, or maybe you're finding yourself in a struggle. Maybe you went through hell all week long. Maybe you too can find yourself to be like Eutychus, that you're here but you're barely making it and you're barely staying on top, and every once in a while you kind of dip under because you're fighting with everything in your power and your ability. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us, the reason why a lot of this seems a little dramatic to you, and you're thinking, why is pastor so theatrical? Because I'm going to tell you something. Just because somebody's here does not mean they're fine. Just because somebody's in this room today does not mean that everything in their life is going the way that it appears. Just because somebody shook your hand and said, praise the Lord, does not mean they had a praise in their heart. Just because they're preaching their guts out doesn't mean that everything in their life is just grand and peachy. Just because they're maintaining some status of happiness and contentment doesn't mean that each night they go home, they just want to end their life because they're tired of it and they're sick and tired of the stress and sick and tired of the fight, sick and tired of the weight that they're having to carry. I've come to speak to us tonight because I'm going to tell you the reason why. We spend so much time trying to tell people to avoid falling, and we spend so much time trying to keep people from falling, and that's what we need to do. Don't fall. We don't want nobody to fall, but we'd be crazy to think that people don't just fall out, that people don't just get so tired that they give up, that people don't get so wore out that they give in. We would be crazy to think that there's somebody in this room today that thought about not even coming back. We'd be crazy to think that there's somebody in this room that hasn't been battling depressive thoughts all week long. You'd be crazy to think that everybody in this room's life is just what it needs to be, that I'm going to come and get my worship and get my Jesus on, and I'm going to leave and do my own thing. You'd be crazy to think that somebody don't need you to pray for them today, that somebody don't need you to put a hand on them and say, I love you. We'd be crazy to think that just because people are here, that everything's going fine in their life. But see, we don't know the things that people battle just trying to get here. So you got to understand, man, some people, church isn't just some weekend activity. This is their life. This is their lifeline. This is what keeps them going. This is what keeps them from hurting somebody. This is what keeps them from hurting themselves. That's why church ain't just some weekend getaway. This ain't just some service where we have a cute sermon and go home. But this is life or death for somebody. This is where somebody's going to get peace, where you're getting tore up in the world and the world's full of fear and anxiety and depression. There's got to be a place we can come to where we can be filled with life again, and we can be uplifted and encouraged, and we can feel better about ourselves. There's got to be a place, and I believe Eutychus. I believe he was probably tired before he got there. And here, old Paul, man, Paul's like, dude, I'm burning the midnight oil tonight, dudes. I'm preaching tonight. Paul's got preaching him, and so Eutychus like, dude, I just need to go lay down. I love you, but I'm tired. That's what we see in the church today. We see a lot of people like Eutychus, And I know that we want to preach our guts out. We want to tell everybody, come on, abstain from sin. Come on, stay in the church. And we want to encourage people to just keep in there, stick in there, and do this, and be positive, and be uplifting. But we'd be crazy if we thought that there are people that are struggling to the point that they don't even want to be coming into this place again. We'd be crazy to think there ain't somebody that feels like they ain't about ready to fall over. We'd be crazy to think that somebody has not had to contemplate some heavy decisions. And while I may be trying to talk to you about don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, but see, the fact of the matter is, we all fall sometimes. We all make mistakes. We all doubt. We all get into fear sometimes. We all get depressed sometimes. We all get anxious sometimes. That's not me speaking that over us, but at the same time, we need to understand something, that there's a real battle here. There's a real concept of what I'm talking about, that if we don't teach people how to fall, we'll never keep them in the church. See, people don't stay in the church because they fall. And they think that, man, something must be wrong with me. Why would I fall if I was really loving God, if I was really serving the Lord? Why would I make this mistake? Don't you dare judge somebody's love for God because they fell. Just because somebody falls does not mean they don't love the Lord. And I'm going to tell you, man, I heard that so much growing up. If you love the Lord, you wouldn't have done that. Man, that's just not the truth. It's just not true. I can love God with everything in my being. That doesn't mean that I don't struggle. It doesn't mean that I don't go through things. It doesn't mean that I don't sometimes wonder if He's even real, if He even exists. I believe every one of us at some points asks that question. Man, is this just make-believe? Am I just making this stuff up? God, am I just telling some story? It just sounds so kiddish sometimes, and we just go through things because our minds go under attack. And what I want to encourage us today, to those of us in this room who are wore out and you're in a spiritual battle, and you're going through a battle right now, and your mind is under attack, or your finances may be under attack, or the enemy's been messing with your life and messing with your marriage and messing with your babies, and there's just been all-out spiritual warfare. I come today to be a voice of wisdom to those of us in this room who are finding yourselves in a spiritual attack, to be aware of the direction that you are leaning. Be aware of the direction that you are leaning right now. If you are weak right now, if you are tired right now, if you're struggling right now, if you're going through hell right now, if your mind's a battleground right now, I think it would be real good of you right now to just start getting an idea of where I'm leaning. Where am I sitting right now? Who am I around? Because if I'm going to make a fall, if I'm going to give in, I don't want to fall out of the church. I want to fall into the church. Come on now. We better prepare people for those moments when you've just taken all you can take, and you've tried all you can try, and you're at that place that you're just about to give up. You're at that place where you've taken all you can take. And I want to be a voice of wisdom to you right now. If you feel like you're about to give up, if you feel like you can't take another step, if you feel like you're under attack, I want to be a voice of wisdom in your life right now, to become aware of the direction that you're leaning in. I'm not asking you not to struggle. I'm not asking you not to go through things. You can't help the things you struggle with sometimes, and we can't always help what we're going through. We can't always help what we have to endure. We can't always help the financial woes that we go through, or the health attacks. I mean, you imagine right now, Sister Gina, man, all the things that she's enduring in her body. Don't you dare think it's a walk in the park what she's going through. When it's just battle after battle after battle after battle, and upset after upset, and disappointment after disappointment, and everything around you seems to be falling apart, and everything around you seems to be failing, and everything around you seems to just crumble. I want to be a voice of wisdom to us tonight, that we need to become aware of the direction that we are leaning, because you are going to fall in the direction that you're leaning. You and I are going to fall in the direction that we are leaning. See, I'm just going to tell you, man, there's just times you just know what's going to happen. You just know you're getting ready to make a mistake. You just know you're getting ready to break. You just know you're getting... Now, I know we want to talk about how trust in the Lord, and we want to talk about pray this prayer and anoint your doorpost, and we want to talk about put a cloth over you. I know we want to talk like that, but we know the reality is sometimes we've just taken all that we can take. told you probably won't hear this a lot of places, but we just need to start. We need to be real today too, because I'm going to tell you every scripture you can read, but some of us still ain't reading them. I can tell you to pray to prayer, but sometimes we just ain't praying them, and sometimes we just don't believe it, no matter how much it's preaching, and you just know that somebody's getting ready to tip and fall over. And what I think would be the greatest thing we could ever do in the church is not to condemn the falling, but prepare them for what's getting ready to happen. To let them know, hey, listen, I know you've fallen, I know you messed up, but you can fall in the church and get back up. We ain't going to judge you, we ain't going to criticize you, but we're going to love you into repentance. The church ought to be a place where people can fall and get back up. Amen. The church ought to be a place where you can make a mistake and show your face again the next Sunday. Amen. The church ought to be a place where, man, you can be you, and you can just be your unique self and not have to worry about everybody judging you. I told you, man, I've been to a lot of churches. I've seen a lot of people, and I've watched people have to move out of their own town just so they can serve God again. I've seen people who have fallen. I've seen pastors who have fallen into adultery, and youth pastors that have fallen, and I've seen ministry that have made mistakes, and the church never would restore them, and the church would never heal them, and so they have to move out of state just to serve the Lord. They'd have to move out of state just to be in restorative ministry. The church ought to be a place where people can be people, where you can fall and get back up, where you can fall and be restored. I'm not saying like we condone falling. I'm not saying I pull my foot out and trip somebody. I'm saying when somebody falls, that we become a place of healing, that we become a place of restoration. We'd be crazy to think that people are going to fall in this church, that they're not going to make mistakes, that they're not going to do something they wish they wouldn't have done. We'd be crazy to think that that's not going to happen. But my God, we've got to have a church in this area where people can be restored, where people can serve in ministry again, where people can be believed in again. I know it's not okay. I'm not saying what they did was okay. I'm not saying where they went was fine. I'm not saying we want them to do it again. But man, there's got to be at least one church. There's got to be at least one group of people that'll say, hey, we'll love you. Hey, we'll accept you. Hey, we'll get you in here. Come on, man, we'll let you be used again. God still loves you. God can forgive you. Come on, man, there's got to be a church where the blood of Jesus still covers every sin, still covers every mistake. There's still got to be a place. And there's got to be a place, man, where people can be restored. There's got to be a seat for Eutychus in this house. Is there a seat for Eutychus in this house today? Is there a seat for Eutychus in the sanctuary? Is there a seat for Eutychus around your dining room table? Do you have a place for Eutychus in your life today? Because I want to tell you something. It may not be you today, but it may be you tomorrow. Dude, I told you, man, I'm going to tell you what I learned pastoring. Nobody's safe. If you think just because you've been going to church for 50 years that he's given up on you, no, you're his greatest enemy. You're the one he couldn't stop. You're the one he never could get a hold of. So yeah, he's got a big old target on your back. Man, I've learned this, man. I've seen pastors who have been in ministry for 40 years sit there and turn on it all, man, walk away from it, abandon their whole families and lives for another life of sin. I've watched some of the greatest men of God fall into sin. I've watched some of the greatest churches split in half. Why? Because the enemy is no respecter of person. He ain't got no conscience. He don't care about your family. He ain't worried about your plans. He don't care about the college your kids want to go to. The devil's out to steal, kill, and destroy. He's out to knock you out of the church. And there's got to be a place for Eutychus. There's got to be a seat for Eutychus. And see, let me tell you what's crazy. It's a seat that anybody can be sitting in at any given time. You may be looking at Eutychus today, but we may all be looking at you tomorrow. There's got to be a place in this altar for Eutychus. Man, on Tuesday nights when I'm in here praying, I'm going to tell you what I pray every Tuesday night. God, bless our altars with backsliders. God, bless our altars with new life. I pray that every Tuesday night. I pray, I cry, man, I bawl, I have tears, man, because I don't want altars that are just here for people to come and worship and go home. No, I want life to be restored in these altars. I want backsliders to come back. I want Eutychus to come back into the house of God. Come on, man, there's Eutychuses all over this city, man. The Lord's already talked to me about it. He's already told me, he said there's a church full of Eutychuses out in this city, in this area, in this county that people have given up on, and they're just a lost cause and they're damaged goods. But God said there's got to be a church for Eutychus. There's got to be a seat for Eutychus. There's got to be a place of restoration for Eutychus. There's got to be a church that'll love Eutychus and pray with Eutychus and take Eutychus out to dinner and love him and restore him and disciple him back with the Lord. But there's got to be a place for Eutychus. See, when we're battling, when we're weak and tired, we've got to learn how to position ourselves. Can I preach real to you for just a moment? I'm not a pastor who says that just because you're struggling, there's something wrong with you. But if you're in and out of church every week, there's something not right with that. We need to learn how to position ourselves in the church. Every week you should be in and out. Every wind that blows should knock you out of the church. Every time somebody offends you shouldn't make you backslide. We should be throwing to the towel every time something don't work out, every time things don't go our way, or every time that we don't hear what we want, or just because we ain't feeling it. We've got to learn how to position ourselves in the church so that whenever things do happen, when we do struggle, that I'm not falling out of the church, but I'm falling into the church. Every situation shouldn't be do or die. Every weekend shouldn't be do I go to church or not? Am I going to follow God this week or not? No, I've got to make up in my mind. Yes, I'm going to struggle. Yes, I'm going to make mistakes. But I'm not falling out of the church. I'm falling into the church. See, had Eutychus positioned himself right, we'd never read about him. Had Eutychus sat differently on that windowsill, if Eutychus would have thought, man, I'm really tired. See, there's got to come some honesty within yourself that maybe I'm not what I need to be. Maybe I'm not as close to God as I really need to be. Maybe I'm not as spiritual as I'm supposed to be. Maybe I'm not living holy like I'm supposed to be living holy. Maybe I'm not living the life that I know that I need to be living. See, if Eutychus would be just honest with himself and realize I'm a little too tired to be sitting in this windowsill. See, Eutychus needs to be honest with himself and realize that right now, this isn't the safest place for me to sit. See, if Eutychus would realize, man, I'm so tired, Eutychus should have positioned himself for what could happen. Because if had Eutychus realized I could fall asleep and go out this window and die, I doubt he'd have sat the way he sat. I doubt that he would have leaned in the direction he was leaning. See, had Eutychus sat himself correctly, if Eutychus would have realized, man, I'm a little too weak and I'm tired and I'm not what I need to be in God, Eutychus should have positioned himself. That way, if he did fall, he'd fall into the church. But see, because he was leaning this way, that's why he fell. Listen to me. If you lean towards the world, you're going to fall into sin. But if you lean to the church, you'll fall at the altar. Which way you're leaning by your response. If I can't find you on a Sunday, I know where you're leaning. But when I see you in this altar, I'm thinking, thank God they sensed it. Thank God they knew that they were doing it. Thank God they're in this altar. Man, don't judge people because they're in this altar every week. This is where they need to be. Let Eutychus come into the altar. Let it fall in the church, man. Let it be restored in the church. Let Eutychus be here. See, sometimes, man, I don't know why they got to be up there every week. Man, what's wrong with them that they got to pray through every week? How dare you question that? Well, I just don't know why they got to go up there and get prayed for every week. How dare you question that? You want them to leave? Would you rather them not be here at all? At least if they're up here, I know they're here. See, I'm going to talk to you from a pastor's point of view, because I don't care about that naysayer junk. I have no place for that. But what I'm going to tell you, I love to see them in this altar, because I know as long as they're here, they're right where they need to be. At least if they're here, I know they're hearing from me. They're hearing from God. They're being prayed with. They're being prayed for. Let them be in this altar. Let them come up here and pray, man. I'll pray with them every week. I'll pray with you every Sunday and Thursday, as long as you'll be here. That's all I care about, man. Just be here. Just be here. Are you weak? Are you tired? Are you battling today? Is your mind a battleground? Are you going through something right now? Are you struggling? Which way are you leaning? Ask yourself that question. Which direction am I leaning? Which direction am I at? I need to position myself, because I'm not feeling real good. I'm not where I need to be. I need to position myself. Guys, you better understand something. We better learn how to fall. If you're gonna stay in the church, you better learn how to fall. If you're gonna live this thing for the next 50 years, you better learn how to fall. If you think you ain't gonna struggle, you're done already, because you are gonna struggle. We do all struggle. We all go through storms, trials, tests. Sometimes it's the enemy. Sometimes God's testing us. Sometimes God's challenging us. Sometimes it's our own stupid fault that we get in the messes we get in. Sometimes we just go through things. And if you have any intentions on making heaven your home, you better learn how to fall. You better learn where to fall. You better learn who to fall with, because I'm going to tell you, there's some people, they'll kick you while you're down, but in the church, man, if you fall, we're going to pray you through. We're going to restore you. I'll baptize you 20 times if that's what it takes to keep you in the church. Whatever it takes, man, to keep Eutychus. Whatever it takes to keep him here. And I'm going to have to close. Oh God, man, I'm telling you, God's filled this iPad up with stuff, too. You need to ask yourself, man, where am I in God right now? Would you just be honest for just a moment? Would you be honest for just a moment? Ask yourself, where are you in God? Maybe you're as spiritual as you can be, but are you going through something? Are you struggling with something? Are you battling? Is your mind under attack? Is your finances under attack? What are you going through? Because when you're in the battle, when you're fighting, when you're struggling, when things are going on, when you ain't having the best day at work, when the boss is just being a little sideways with you, and you know that you're about to lose your cool, man, when you're going through something, when you're under attack, do you consider which direction you're leaning in? Do you consider your position? Which way are you leaning for counsel? Which direction are you leaning for peace? Which direction are you leaning for answers? Which direction are you leaning for solution? Which direction right now? If you're struggling, if you're tempted, if you're fighting, if you're battling, which direction are you leaning for an answer? Because whatever direction you're leading in is the direction you're going to fall. And while you know good and well that pastor's going to come get you, leaders in this church are going to come get you, people in this church are going to come get you, but you better understand that not everybody makes it back. Not everybody makes it back. And if I can do anything to help you in this room today, it's to prevent you from falling out of the church. If you're going to fall, man, fall in. Fall in this altar. Fall to your knees. Fall to repentance. Don't fall out of the church. Right now, I think it would be very important that all of us in this room figure out the direction that we're leaning in, because I'm going to fall in that direction. Put Philippians 4:11-13 up there real quick. Philippians 4:11-13. And then we're just gonna talk about this real quick and we're gonna close. Philippians chapter 4. Listen to what Paul said. He said, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am. Yeah, but see, Pastor, what I'm going through is a little... No. Whatever state that I am. Paul said, I have learned that for whatever state that I am, or I love what one translation says, whatever circumstances that I'm going through, therewith to be content. Go to the next verse. I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things. Whoo, glory. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know what Paul is saying? I have learned the secret to life, and that secret to life is no matter what I'm going through, I have learned to lean on Jesus. I've learned to find peace in Jesus. I've learned to find contentment. Come on, man, are you hungry? He said, lean on Jesus. Are you going through a battle? Lean on Jesus. Are you going through a storm? Lean on Jesus. I've learned that in whatever state that I am in, to lean on Jesus. Whatever I'm going through, as we put some of that piano on, put me some of that old-fashioned piano. Whatever circumstances that I am going through. Paul said whether I've got a lot in my life or I've got nothing. Whether I'm hungry or I'm well fed. Whether I'm in prison or if I'm free. He said no matter what I'm going through, I've learned to find contentment in Jesus. I've learned to lean into the Lord. Being in the church does not prevent you from falling. It just determines where you fall. Living for the Lord doesn't prevent bad days. It determines the outcome of those bad days. Living for the Lord does not prevent storms and trials. It determines the outcome of those storms and trials. Living for the Lord, leaning into Jesus. Being aware of the direction that you lean determines where you're going to land. And I'm going to tell you what I've learned over the years is that I've never seen somebody fall out of the church and be okay. I've never seen Eutychus fall out of the church and not break a leg, not break his back, not damage himself. I'm going to tell you, man, some of us are the way we are because of the times we've fallen. You've got scars and wounds, and you've got things that remind you of how you walked away from the Lord and you went into a life of sin that had you lean in the right direction. When you fell, you'd have never went into it. And I'm going to tell you what I'm preaching about today is I don't want us to go out there and figure out what it's like. I want us to fall into this altar today. See, some of us know you're weak. You know you're struggling. You know you're going through a battle. You know that you've just been fighting all week long. And this isn't just for the new ones here. This isn't just for our babes in Christ. I'm talking to some senior people in this room today. People that have been going to church for a while that you know that you've been battling. And I think it'd be very important today that we make a decision of where am I leaning, because I can't afford to fall out again. We've got to stop this in and out stuff, man. That's got to stop. You're going to get caught one way or the other. We need to quit this. 1 week I'm in, next week I'm out. 1 week I'm happy, 1 week I'm bad. And, 1 week I don't know if I'm going to serve the Lord. Maybe I am this week. And then I've been to church just doing real good. God's just doing a lot of great things in my life. And then something happens and I'm gone. That's got to stop. I'm going to tell you how we prevent that. Not by me saying, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. I'm going to tell you what prevents that is me turning you a little bit so that if you do fall, you come in here and fall. See, if we would just be sensitive to that and know that, hey, man, Sister so-and-so, man, she just don't look like her normal self. And you go up there and say, hey, man, are you okay? Hell, not really, man. I've been going through this, and this. Hey, man, can I pray with you? Can I talk to you? Can I encourage you? You know what you're doing when you're doing that? You're turning Eutychus. I can't make you not fall. I can't. If I could, trust me, I would. But you know what I can do? I can help turn you a little bit so that in case you do fall, in case you do mess up, in case you do have a bad day, that can't find you for 3 or 4 weeks. But that you would fall into the church. My heart today is for Eutychus. My heart today is for those of us maybe that you're battling, maybe you're struggling. To ask yourself, which direction am I leaning today? If we could stand together.